To Edit4020. I'll be your instructor this semester. My name's Michael Ori, and we're going to be talking about and working on apps. So the overall goal of this course is to design an app that's relevant in your for your major or something that you're passionate about. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about the design app, what you got for this semester, the basic framework that we're using, which is project-based learning and more largely constructed, called social constructivism. And then I'll talk about the products you have to deliver for the course. And then I'll talk about the asynchronous nature of this class. So it's asynchronous, but it's on a schedule. So let's start with the app. The overall goal of this class is to design an app. It should be related to your field of study, if that's possible, or something that you're passionate about. What I have here is a picture of Flipboard, a tool that I use all the time. And what I do is I sign up for topics like technology and education or instructional design. And it feeds me stories about that particular field, the field that I study, the field that I work in. The field that I care about. So I care about design, I care about software design, I care about instructional design, and so I kind of choose those topics, and Flipboard kind of feeds me stories and current things about design. I also talk about graphic design. So Flipboard is a really nice tool for me. So what do? Well, so you start with kind of looking at some of the apps that you like to use, and what is it that you like about them. And so I also teach a game camp in the summer, and I do a lot with game design. And the way we do game design is you start by saying, my game's a lot like World of Warcraft, only I do this. And so that's what I want you to do with your apps, is I want you to start with an app or two apps or some apps that you're familiar with. So you could say, it's like this or this or this, but this is what I'm using it for. This is how I change the design. Here's how I make it work for my application. Okay, and that's sort of the overarching goal of this class, is to come up with that design. Now, you'll prototype this, you'll build it to some extent, but you can build it in PowerPoint. I'm not really wanting you to focus on the technology skills to do this, but if you do bring the technology skills, you're welcome to build a prototype if you have those programming skills. All I really expect is the design, and that's the goal of this class, is to come up with the design of the app, and also produce some materials to promote your app and to try to get people to fund the building of your app. So the course itself revolves around social constructivism. I think the syllabus mentions project-based learning. That's one particular strategy within social constructivism. It dates back to John Dewey from the early 1900s, where he had his sort of critical pedagogy. And he basically said if you get kids to build a house, that they can learn math, they can learn geometry, they can learn business, they can learn communication skills. There's lots of things they can learn by building a house. The problem was, in his day and age, is once you build the house, well, you build another house, you're not going to get a whole lot more out of it. And so what's happened is, in the information age, is there's lots of different houses that you can build. In this instance, we're going to be building an app. Our house is going to be an app, and the app's going to be something relevant to your field. And again, you could be your passion area too. So if you have hobbies, the last screen, if I go back to the last screen, I spent a lot of time working in the yard, and so I have an app that I use all the time from Scott's, and it tells me when to fertilize the lawn, when to put bug killer down, when to water the lawn. It kind of alerts me to all of those things. Because that's something that I'm passionate about. It's not really my field. Whereas Flipboard, I actually program that or set that up so that it downloads stories that are relevant to my field. So you're going to build this app. It's going to be built on social constructivism, which starts with building something. So you learn by building. And so part of it is by building something, so you could, if you build something really cool, it's going to be something like Instagram, which now makes millions of dollars every year. So Instagram's a really popular app. Now, do I expect you to design the next Instagram? No, but maybe. How about no, but maybe? So there you go. Even if it's not the next Instagram and it really is sort of a targeted population that would be interested in your app, that's what I want you to do. But I want you to learn by building something, and you're going to build it maybe in PowerPoint, maybe in a programming language, but you're going to build it out to the extent where you've really kind of thought through all of the different functionality that you want within the app that you're designing. But it's more than just learning by building. Social constructivism wants you to talk about your design. So you're going to keep a design journal. You're going to have a blog that you're going to keep track of. There's going to be these formal events that are going to happen throughout the semester called desk crits, where you have to create a short video like I'm doing here. I'm using QuickTime on my Mac to do this, but you can, if you don't have a Mac, you can use a tool like Screencast-O-Matic. There's lots of different screen capture tools that allow you to do a short video recording, and then you can just put it up onto YouTube and share it with somebody once it's up on YouTube. And that's what I'm going to do with this video. Is you'll be watching this from YouTube. I'm building it on my desktop, but you watch it from YouTube. And then you can have a conversation about that design. Even if it's at the early stages, we often start our designs with what we call a napkin sketch. You're sitting around at a restaurant, you're talking to somebody, you suddenly get this great idea, you grab a napkin and you kind of sketch out what you want to do on the napkin. And that sort of forms the basis for your app, is this great idea that happened at this inopportune time where you don't have paper, you just grab a napkin and do it. So we often talk about the napkin sketch. But you can then scan that or take a picture of that, bring that into your computer, and then make a short video about your napkin sketch. That's sort of where you can start these things where you can talk about your design. But hopefully by the end of the course, you're actually doing your prototype of PowerPoint, and that's what you're recording in video is your actual app as implemented in PowerPoint. But I want you to have these desk crits, and the nice thing about desk crits is you can look at somebody else's work and give them critical feedback. The key here is give them critical. You start by giving them something positive, but then you give them critical feedback that's really going to help them with their project. But giving them that critical feedback also helps you with your project, because it gets you to think differently about your own project by looking at somebody else's project. So again, you have to immerse yourself into other people's designs to really get good ideas about your design. Often, design is just judicious modification or adaptation or modification or manipulation of existing designs. And so I want you to look at lots of different designs. I want you to look at apps that are out there, but I also want you to look at other students' designs, and that's what the purpose of a desk crit is. And often through these conversations, great ideas emerge, because you got to talk about your designs. Okay? So the products, you got products that you have to build. So one of the things you have to do is build a prototype, and you're going to do that in PowerPoint. You can use a tool like Screencast-O-Matic to record your PowerPoint, and if you have programming skills, you can program it if you prefer. But I don't care. I really don't want you to get hung up on the technology. I want you to get hung up on the designs. Come up with great designs. And you should really build it to so this PowerPoint's the default size of a PowerPoint. You're going to resize your PowerPoint to being the size of a Galaxy or a iPhone or whatever. Just choose one of the phones, choose one of the sizes of that phone, and then build your prototype in that size. All right? So you got a prototype that you're going to build. You also need to keep a design journal. Where are you going to keep that? Well, you're going to keep that in WordPress. I also have assignments throughout the semester over the course of the summer where you're going to be turning things in. And so each of those things could be added to your blog, and in the end, it will give you the whole sort of overall product that I want you to turn at the end. So it's not like you're going to do a whole lot of work at the end of the semester. The assignments kind of help you build the final product that you're going to have at the end of the semester. So it's not like you can put everything off to the end. You can't. You got to be doing these things all along, which if I go back to the desk crits again and just mention this is an asynchronous class, and I'll talk about this again, but there are specific due dates. In order to give feedback to your partner, you got to do it in in a timely fashion. So you don't have to do it at 5 o'clock on Thursday, but you do have to do it within like a 2-day time frame. So it is asynchronous. It's not at a specific time, but it does have due dates. There are due dates as we go. So, sorry, digression. Design journal. WordPress, probably the best tool. You can use any blog tool you want, but probably the most common one people use is WordPress. You can do it at wordpress.com, sign up for an account, and you can document everything in WordPress. Okay. As I said, desk crits, you're going to have to create videos throughout the semester. It's going to be due at a specific time and at a specific day. And then you're going to find your plus X partner. So the first time you do a desk crit, it might be with your plus one. So I'll have an ordered list of students in the class. Student number one, it'll be alphabetically listed. So someone whose last name probably begins with an A will be number one. Student at the end of the list who's number 30 is going to begin with a Z or something at the end of the alphabet. And so with the plus one, if you're number 15, you're going to be looking at number 16 in the list project for your plus one. The next time it might be plus two. And then you'll go to that list. If you're number 15, you'll look at number 17. If you're number 30, your plus one is just going to wrap back around to the beginning, and you'll be looking at number one's project. So number one will look at number two will look at number three, and so on. And then each time there'll be a posting in the discussion board, and I'll say which one it is. So for this assignment, it'll be plus one. For this assignment, it's going to be plus two, and so forth. You got to post it on that date, and then I give you about a 2-day window in which to watch that video and give that constructive feedback. And I'm looking for good, positive, constructive feedback. Not just the positive. You do have to say something positive about the project. I really like this part of your project, but really this is a desk crit. It's the purpose is to help them improve their product, and to improve that product, I want some detailed information here. I'm not going to accept it if you just say, oh, that's nice, that's a good project, and maybe you could use a different font. That doesn't quite cut it. If you don't like the font, why do you not like the font? But something more. If you're doing detailed feedback like that, I'm going to be wanting 4 or 5 things for you to talk about. If it's an overall conceptual thing, you might only have one thing, but it's a big idea, and you're giving them critical feedback on that big idea. So it's hard to quantify, but it is not that hard to talk about it as a substantial piece of feedback. And there's probably 5 of these throughout the semester. I also want you to give people feedback on their design journals, and I think there are 5 of those as well. So that, again, the desk crits and the blog where you give design journal feedback, there is 2 places where it really is social, the social aspect of this social constructivist class. So, and I really need you to be giving those feedback. So if you're on that list and you don't get it done, it not only hurts you in terms of your grade, it hurts that person who was expecting the feedback because they didn't get feedback. So please keep in mind it's asynchronous, but there are due dates. Okay, desk crits. Product proposal, you need an elevator pitch at the very end. The basic idea of an elevator pitch is that if you get the boss in the elevator and he's riding to the top floor or she's riding to the top floor, you've got 2 minutes to pitch the idea and to convince the boss that this is a good thing to invest in. If it's not the boss, it's a VC, it's a venture capitalist. If it's not a VC, it's someone that you're trying to get to invest in your product. Maybe it's I'm blanking on the websites that allow you to raise money. Sorry. But even if you do that kind of fundraiser, you still want the 2-minute elevator pitch that you can use to convince people to donate money. But again, elevator pitch, you're going to have a cost estimate, you're going to have alpha and beta testing of your prototype, you're going to put that in front of people, get them to interact with it, people outside of class to interact with it, people from your target audience to interact with it, and you're going to document all of those things. And again, a lot of these things are due as separate assignments throughout the semester, but all of that collectively is your final product proposal. So again, I kind of talked about this a little bit already, asynchronous versus synchronous. Synchronous is what you have in a typical class. You meet Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays from 1 to 2 o'clock. You know you have to meet at 1 o'clock on Monday. You know you have to have whatever assignment done before Monday. We have no class meetings, so that makes it asynchronous. But there are absolute due dates. There are due dates for all these assignments, and a lot of these assignments are really tied to somebody else having to do something with what you're turning in. So you got to follow the schedule. You've got to stay on schedule. You've got to deliver on time. And when you're giving feedback, you got to deliver that on time. Again, if you put it off to the end, then it's not giving them feedback that's going to actually help them improve it. And I'm not going to accept it. So you have to turn it in on time, and you have to give feedback on time. Otherwise, it's not acceptable. Okay? So don't let things get out of hand. There is a schedule. There are due dates. Make sure you follow them. And so the nice thing is it's asynchronous. You don't have to do it at 1 o'clock on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, but you do have to have it done by Tuesday at 5 p.m. or whatever the due date is. Okay? So I just want to end with welcome to the class. Good luck this semester. You really can take the class from wherever you happen to be. You have the flexibility of working, but when you get out of work, you're going to have to do some work for the class as well. You pretty much have to do stuff almost every day of the length of this course. If not every day, every other day. There's stuff that has to be done. So I hope you have a great summer, and I hope you have a great time in the class, and I hope whatever you're doing this summer is also successful. So good luck, and it's great to have you in class, and I hope you come up with some really cool ideas for your apps. And again, I think the class could be as much fun as you put time into it. So great. I love having you. I can't wait to start seeing things getting churned in. So good luck.